We're just under 25 days away from Halloween Horror Nights 28 starting, and we've had 5 whole announcements since the last time that I recorded a video, so we've got an awful lot to cover today. So let's get into it. So the first house that we're going to talk about today is a house that I spoke a little bit about, well, a lot about actually, in my last video, and I was kind of speculating about what I hoped would be in the house, and I don't think it's very likely anymore, but I mean, a girl can dream. So this house was Carnival Graveyard Rust in Pieces, and I'd speculated that maybe we might see Jack's backstory in this house because it seems to make perfect sense to me with the 80s theme and carnival theme and Jack. I mean, we might still see an Easter egg in there somewhere, like Jack's box or an orange wig or something that kind of ties it into Jack in some way. I'm still kind of hoping that's going to be some kind of setup for Jack's return in the future. Again, a girl can dream. But this house is actually going to be a kind of scrapyard for old carnival attractions. So ride parts are being turned into kind of torture devices. We've got crazy carnies, security dogs, which I'm kind of hoping will be puppets, like American Werewolf in London style puppets. I know I spoke about that a bit for the Trick or Treat house, but I mean, you can use a werewolf puppet and a dog puppet. I think that's fine. So we've seen a sneaky pic from inside of this house, and I think it was just one sign that they'd taken a picture of, but it looked super cool. I think that these old carnival pieces are going to make some really creepy sets, and it's definitely up there on my hype list. I might actually do a hype list at the end of this video just so I can see kind of how it changes in the run up to the event, and then obviously once I've been to the event and seen them in person for myself. But this one's definitely up there. I'm very excited about it, even if my beloved Jack isn't going to get his time to shine in a backstory house. Next up was Seeds of Extinction, and this is the house, if you go back to my speculation map video, where it was rumoured to be an alien type house, and I was so excited about that. I absolutely love aliens, I love the invasion scare zone, I love that whole kind of vibe. I mean, this isn't really what I was expecting. I think if anything, it's cooler than what I was expecting because it's different. So this is, I mean, I'm getting a little Shop of Horrors vibe. I know that quite a lot of people have said the same thing too, because that's the only kind of thing really that I can relate it to. I've seen a few people mention a film called The Happening too, and the similarities that. I haven't seen that, so that's definitely on my watch list before Halloween Horror Nights. So this is going to be a post-apocalyptic wasteland that's being taken over by invasive vegetation. So these alien plants have taken over after a meteor has hit Earth, and there's no humans left. This again is pretty high up on my hype list. I'm always, I guess, the most excited about the originals because I have no idea at all what to expect. Other than a kind of brief overview, I don't know what I'm going to be experiencing in that house. Whereas something like The Shining or Trick or Treat or Krampus, I've seen those films, I know exactly what I'm going to be walking into. I don't know the specific costumes and pieces they're going to have, but I know the story and I know what I'm in for. But something like an original, I have absolutely no idea. So I'm always definitely a little bit more excited for those, and I do tend to like them a bit more anyway, just because I love the originality of them. I love that this is coming from the brains of the creative team. A cool thing about this house is that we're going to have kind of nods to previous houses or previous characters that we've seen at the event. So we're going to have a sign on a shop for Lightning Gulp, which is a nod to Ghost Town Lightning Gulch, which I thought was pretty funny. Then we have a sign for Jack and Eddie's Sunwear, which of course is a nod to Jack the Clown and his brother Eddie. And the last sneak peek Easter egg / nod that they gave us was for CJ McPherson's Home Security, which is a nod to Charlie McPherson, who was the main character from the original Dead Exposure house. I was definitely expecting kind of stereotypical aliens, maybe a house where we would be in a spaceship or in space or something along those lines, and I think they've completely thought outside of the box with this one, and they're going to give us a really cool and original concept, and I'm definitely excited about it. Next up we have a couple of IP houses, and these next two are interesting because we did see them both on the speculation map, so that's another win for Horror Nights Nightmares, consistently right with the speculations every single year. These two houses were actually leaked by a hotel in Orlando accidentally, so these two houses were used to advertise tickets in the hotel for Halloween Horror Nights on a screen, and they were leaked, of course, across the Horror Nights fan pages. The first one is Poltergeist. I've been very excited about this one since it was first rumoured, and that is because I feel like this was a very interesting choice. Now I know that the creative team are super into the classic horror films, but I do feel like this one could potentially be quite hard to make into a house, in the same way that I thought Exorcist would be hard to make into a house. They pulled it off very, very well, but I feel like this will be the same kind of thing. Like, a lot of this film takes place in a bedroom, in a kitchen. It's all very confined to just a few rooms in the house. In The Exorcist, we had the one bedroom shown in different ways in different scenes, and again, it worked very, very well for that house, and I think that the team are going to definitely pull this off amazingly. Another reason that I feel like this is an interesting film to choose is because by today's standards, at least, the majority of this film isn't a scary film. It's more suspenseful than anything, I'd say, and I think that again adds to the reasons why this could be quite a hard film to make into a house, because we don't see a lot happening. We maybe see some chairs moving, you know, Carol Ann being pulled across the floor of the kitchen, chairs being stacked. I mean, we do have the super creepy tree scene with the storm. That's definitely scary and could be done absolutely incredibly in a house. I think it would look super cool in real life. But I want to say that the last 30 to 45 minutes of the film is where bleep really gets real, and I think that those scenes could be absolutely amazing. I think it would be cool to see Carol Ann's bedroom in the same kind of way that we saw the blood elevator scene in The Shining, where it was behind a net type of thing, and so everything could kind of be being thrown around the room. There could be crazy wind effects. I think that would work really cool, whilst also limiting the chances of things flying where they shouldn't, or people grabbing things. That's kind of how I'm imagining that's going to be in my head, but I don't know anything because I don't like the Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just guessing. Another scene that we absolutely have to see in this house is the face peeling scene, and I'm sure that the effects that Halloween Horror Nights are going to use are going to be much more realistic than they were in the film, because this wasn't the 80s, special effects weren't amazing on it, but it's still a very, very creepy scene. I want to see the giant skull coming out of Carol Ann's closet. I want to see the clown pulling Robbie under the bed scene. I want to see Diane running down the stretching corridor. I want to walk down the stretching corridor. I think there's so many things that can be used from the end of the film that it won't really matter that the film only takes place in a few rooms in the house. One of my absolute favourite scenes from the film is the pool scene, where all the coffins and the dead bodies are coming out from all of the mud. I think again, if that can be done in the house, it will be absolutely incredible to see. And I definitely want to see Steve screaming, "You only move the headstones." Amazing. I think the beginning of the house will be filled with a lot of Carol Ann dialogue. You'll see a lot of TVs, a lot of static. I think that Poltergeist is definitely going to be my #1 IP house. I love Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat's one of my favourite films, but I think that I'm just so excited to see this film realised in front of me that this is the IP that I'm the most excited about. The next IP is Halloween for the return of Michael Myers. Now, if you've been going to Halloween Horror Nights for the last few years, you will maybe wonder why we have had Halloween, Halloween 2, and then we're skipping right on to Halloween 4. I don't know the official answer to that. All that I can guess is that because Halloween 3 isn't about Michael Myers and it doesn't follow on with the story from Halloween or Halloween 2, I guess that the general population that will be coming to Halloween Horror Nights who aren't massive horror fans and haven't maybe seen every Halloween film wouldn't necessarily relate Halloween 3 with Halloween and the Michael Myers that they know is from Halloween. That's the only kind of thing that I can think of. As much as I think that Halloween 3 Season of the Witch would make a cool house, they decided not to do it this year. Another thing that they decided not to do, whether they couldn't get licensing for it or it's just not going to be out yet, I don't know what the exact reason for this is either. I was definitely expecting the new Halloween, which is coming out in October, to be at the event this year, especially because it's being made by Blum House, and we've had the Blum House last year. I'm assuming that there's some kind of contract that's been signed with Blum House to have them return for multiple years, so I kind of just assumed that with that relationship being there, we would have the potential to have the new Halloween house. But when the very first trailer for Halloween came out, I thought that was the opportune time for a Halloween announcement. We didn't get it. I kind of made my peace with the fact that we weren't going to be getting a full new Halloween house at this year's event. Which is a shame because, you know, in the Blum house last year, we had a part of the house for Insidious 4, which wasn't out yet, so that was kind of like a live trailer for Insidious 4. And then in the Saw house that we had last year, we had a scene in that house which was from an upcoming Saw film. So I kind of thought it might be fun to have a huge live trailer, a whole entire house for the new film, but I understand that others might not want to have a giant spoiler for the film that they haven't seen yet. So I understand, I guess, why it's not going to be there. So we will see Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, which is where Michael escapes in search of his niece Jamie after hearing that Laurie has died in a car accident, and we will see an awful lot of stabby. We will see I'm guessing an entire room filled with stationary Michael Myers and one real Michael Myers, which is definitely terrifying and works every time. And we'll see Loomis. We will of course see Jamie in the final scene where history has repeated itself and she is clearly following in the footsteps of Michael. I think this is going to be a super fun house. I always love seeing Halloween at the event. This again is definitely high on my hype list. I think that this year actually my hype list is going to be very hard because I keep just saying that everything's at the top of my hype list and I haven't ever actually written down my hype list yet. So the end of this video is going to be awfully interesting. But I think this year we have so many amazing houses. I think it's going to be very hard to make this hype list. I think we're definitely being spoiled, both for the originals and IPs, and usually there's kind of one or two houses where I'm like, okay, if I don't get that done in the first night, I'm not going to be all that bothered about it. I can just do that one whenever. But so far, out of all of the houses that I've covered, there's not one that I feel like that about yet. With that in mind, the final house for today, and the 9th house announced so far, which was actually just announced earlier today, is Horrors of Blum House. So I'm very happy, like I said a little bit earlier in the video, to have Blum House returning again this year. I think that that only means good things for the event and hopefully will lead to us seeing things like The Town That Dreaded Sundown, even though I would more than anything love to see The Town That Dreaded Sundown original. I'm all for seeing Blum House's take on the kind of meta sequel, which I think is more likely. And I think that Blum House have a very extensive catalogue of films that quite a lot of people would really enjoy seeing at the event, so I think this definitely means good things. So the two films that we are going to see in this year's Blum House of Horrors are Happy Death Day and The First Purge. As much as I love Blum House, Happy Death Day was not one of my favourite films that I've seen recently, and I'd wanted to see it since Hollywood had it in their Blum House last year. I just never really got around to it, and then when I did watch it, I thought it was a very easy film to watch. I just didn't really think that it was amazing. I feel like because it was such an easy to watch horror film that it will probably have some fans. So I think, again, going back to the general population of people who will come to events like Halloween Horror Nights have probably seen that film and they will enjoy going through the house for that reason. I do really want to see the giant baby head mask in real life though. I do think it'll be creepy, don't get me wrong. Like I think seeing that jumping out at you, but with such, again, an extensive catalogue of films that Blum House has, I'm a little bit sad that it's Happy Death Day, but you can't win them all. So the second one, like I said, is the first Purge. This is the only Purge film I haven't actually seen yet. I am a fan of the Purge franchise. I do think that they make cool films. I think that the premise of the film is pretty scary, and I know that I've spoke about this in depth in a previous Purge announcement video, I think maybe last year or the year before, but I feel like because the Purge is something that could very well happen in real life, it scares me. I do feel like the Purge works better in a scare zone, but again, because I haven't seen the first Purge, I don't know the setting of it. I don't know whether that would work better in a house as opposed to a zone. So I guess my homework is that I need to go and watch the first Purge, and then I can come back and tell you how I really feel about it. I understand that people don't really like repetitive things at the event in the way that we had The Walking Dead for numerous years, and if we would have had American Horror Story again this year. You know, you never really hear it about American Horror Story. I don't know whether that's because it's an anthology series, so every series is completely different, so it never feels like it's being repeated. So we have one more house left to be announced for this year. If you go back to the speculation map video, I spoke about Horror Night Nightmares speculation of an Oz house. I feel like that would be super cool, and I'm imagining more of a Return to Oz kind of house. Return to Oz is one of my all-time favourite films. I absolutely love it. It's very, very creepy. But there's been another speculation map released since then, which has now changed that house to Scary Tales house. Now I don't know whether it's going to be a Scary Tales Oz house or whether it's not going to be an Oz house at all. I do really like the Scary Tales houses. I think that they work well, and there's a lot of room for all kinds of different things to be inside of that house. I feel like if it's being left to last, it's going to be a super cool one, so I am very, very excited. Hopefully we'll get that announcement this week, because like I say, we are less than 25 days out now to the event. Now let's get on to my hype list. I'm nervous. I actually just want to put like everything at number one. There's so many houses I'm excited about, but I'm gonna go away, I'm gonna make this hype list, and then I'm gonna be right back.
20 minutes later.
That was very hard to do. I think that I changed positions of houses like 5 or 6 times, but again, that is just because there are so many houses I'm excited about. So basically all of my friends are gonna have a very tough time this year because I'm gonna want to do everything pretty much every night. So my number one most anticipated house for this year is, of course, Slaughter Cinema. I am very, very excited about this house. I can't wait to see every little B-movie piece of gold that is in this house. I think it's going to be visually amazing. I think the artwork's going to be amazing. I think the sets, the props, the costumes, the makeup, I think everything about this house is going to be beautiful, and maybe I am overhyping it to myself, I don't know, but this will be the one that I'm going to go into the most times. Next up is going to be Carnival Graveyard for my number 2 house. Again, I think the sets, the props, everything's going to be incredible in this house. I'm super hoping for a giant rusty Ferris wheel. Number 3 on my list is going to be Poltergeist. I almost moved this down the list a little bit, but then I was like, no, I've literally just said that this is going to be my number 1 IP house. So I know that I'm most excited about this one. So number 3, but my number 1 IP house, Poltergeist. Next up is going to be Trick or Treat. Again, I am very, very excited to see these costumes. I'm excited to see these sets. The quarry scene is the bit that I am the most excited about. I can't wait to see the school bus. I can't wait to see all of the school bus kids. I can't wait to see Sam with his pumpkin head. I am very excited about this house. I love Trick or Treat. I love Sam. I'm very glad that it's coming back as a house. Number 5 is going to be Stranger Things. I'm just very, very happy that this is coming to the event. I am not going to try and lie to myself and say that I'm going to go into this house many times, because I know this is most likely going to have the biggest queue every single night, but I'm going to do it every opportunity that I get. I know this is the whole kind of point of the IPs of the event, is to be a part of that film and walk through the scenes, but I absolutely adore Stranger Things. I've probably watched season 1 35 times. I'm probably close to that with season 2. I adore Steve Harrington. He's adorable. Really hope there's a scare actor in the house that looks just like Steve Harrington, because that will make my day. But this is why it was so hard for me to try and make a list, because I wanted all of these 5 kind of as my number 1, because I don't feel like anything after this deserves to be low down on a list. I think that the majority of these sound incredible too, but this top 5 is kind of my actual group number 1. And I'm allowed to do that because it's my channel. Number 6 is Seeds of Extinction, and I'm very excited about all of those Easter eggs and nods. So I wanted to push up a little bit higher in the list based on that, but there's just, again, so many good houses, it was very hard to pick. Number 7 is going to be Halloween 4. Number 8 is going to be Dead Exposure. I know that I haven't really spoken an awful lot about Dead Exposure in these videos. I know that a lot of people really loved the original Dead Exposure house. I feel like this is going to be one of those houses where you aren't expecting it to be amazing and then it is amazing. I think the setting of this house, with it being in Paris, I think there's going to be amazing sets, and I do think that I'll enjoy it. I just think that this house is going to be like the dark horse for me, and it's going to be one that I really, really enjoy in the end. But so far, from expectation wise in my head list, it's going to be number 8. So number 9 is Scary Tales, the unannounced as of yet house, and it's number 9 right now because I don't know what's going to be yet. And the number 10 house on my list is Blum House. And I felt really, really mean putting it at number 10 because I do love Blum House. It's just purely based on the fact that I didn't love Happy Death Day. But I mean, if they want to put a little sneaky peek of Halloween and at the end of the house, then I mean, that's going to be higher up on my list for my review list at the end of the event. So that is it for my hype list. I really want to hear the houses that you're the most excited about this year, and to make it fair, you can just do a 1 to 9 hype list if you want to leave Scary Tales out, because we obviously don't know that that's being announced yet, or if that is being announced. So let's start a discussion in the comments down below. Leave me your hype list, tell me what you're the most excited about, tell me your reasons why. I always love talking to you guys in the comments, and I'm also always down for some Halloween Horror Nights chat on Twitter, and I will leave my little Twitter username at the bottom of the screen. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you haven't already seen my previous announcement videos, I will leave them at the end of this video in a playlist so you can go back and watch them all. Or if you want to watch any of my vlogs from Halloween Horror Nights 26 or 27, I will also add them to a playlist at the end of this video too. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would, because then you get to see my videos straight away as soon as I put them out. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!